Are you craving a trip on Space Mountain? Well, we've got the next best thing. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Patrick Dougal.
And Patrick.
Yes.
At this point, we've both seen Inside Out.
We have.
Before it's open to the general public. Woohoo!
Yay!
And we're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it toward the end of this episode because I'm sure there will be some spoilers mentioned in our conversation. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, I would say skip, well, you can watch the episode. We'll let you know we're going to talk about Inside Out and hold it and watch it after you watch Inside Out.
There you go.
But we're going to get through the first part of the episode first. So,
yes.
Before we move into anything of any importance, I just want to mention, because this is so funny, every once in a while, you know, we spend a lot of time at Disneyland. We feel like we know everything about it. But I got to tell you, every once in a while, a tourist will teach me something.
Oh.
My mom was in town. This was like several weeks ago now. And we're waiting for the Tiki Room. So we're like inside that area where people go to skip the line for the Dole Whip. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go use the restroom. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, it's back there, you know, by the rock wall, like outside. Yeah. She's like, there's one right there. There's a restroom inside the Tiki Room waiting room. Did you know this?
No.
There is. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh my God, I just taught you something about Disneyland. I'm like, you seriously did.
It makes sense though, because I think once you enter,
you can't really exit.
You can't really exit until the doors open, and then you can like walk out.
But I guess you could go out the turnstile the opposite way. I'm sure you could figure something out, or the handicap gate or something like that. I was just in shock because there's a restroom very close to the exterior of the Tiki Room and Dole Whip and all that. Yeah. So I was in shock that there's a restroom inside the waiting area of the Tiki Room.
Birds gotta go too.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. But it was shocking to me, and I'm glad you didn't know it either because I really felt stupid.
Good to know.
My mom was so happy she taught me something about Disney, and I was like, oh. Hey, case I wanted to mention that. I kept forgetting to, so there you go. That should have been Disney trivia for you. Where's the closest restroom to the Tiki Room? Anywho, let's move on from there. There have been some announcements about what's coming up at the D23 Expo, which of course we're all excited about. I think we'll probably have an episode as it gets closer all about everything that's going on there. So we don't want to get into everything, but there were a couple of things that I think are notable. And the first one I want to mention is Disney on Broadway, The Originals. Now, we both saw the Broadway thing last time, right? And it was in, I forget what they called it. I think stage 23 or room 23. The top floor.
Level.
It filled up.
Real fast.
So this year, they're going to have two shows on Saturday. I think it's 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And in stage 23, which is the large arena space, I believe. So I'm still a little confused about that because they're talking about more seats than ever before, but like that's still the largest space. So I think they're just reconfiguring where the stage is going to be in that space to get more people in. But not only is it in the largest space, but it's twice on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's called The Originals because they have three Broadway stars who originated roles in Broadway musicals, including, do you know
Ashley Brown,
who is Mary Poppins on Broadway.
Josh Strickland, who originated Tarzan. And then
his name is James Monroe Iglehart or Iglehart. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Genie in Aladdin.
Yeah, and two of them, Ashley Brown and Josh Strickland, were there last year, or 2 years ago, rather. And so it'll be cool. I mean, it was a really good presentation. I think they were kind of shocked at how popular it was.
Yeah.
As, you know, I'm a theater geek, but I always assume, like, I'm in the minority. But I think, like, theater geeks and Disney geeks kind of go in the same realm.
Most of the popular Disney animation features that are considered classic are musicals.
Yeah.
So it kind of lends itself.
Yeah. So that's an exciting one. I'm very excited about that. But also another cool one in the same realm of twice in a day, but this time on the Sunday in the same location, is Disney in Concert, A Silly Symphony. This is kind of cool because they're going to take some of the old silly symphonies. I believe Three Little Pigs is one of them. The Old Mill or the Windmill, whichever they call it, is another. And some other random ones, and there's going to be a live orchestra, I think 32-piece orchestra, which is really cool, playing along with and it's moderated by Leonard Maltin, the film historian, who you've probably seen at the beginning of some Disney video archive thing. So it's pretty cool, but I mean, both of those I think are, I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd do the Broadway one, of course, but I'm hoping, if you've never done the Disney Expo before, the most difficult thing is scheduling. That's all it comes down to.
You can't do everything.
I can remember the first year I went, the first expo, I got the schedule beforehand and highlighted everything I was gonna do, and it was like, that's great. I have 15 minutes between these two. I have 15 minutes to get from point A to point B. I was like, oh, it was a rude awakening. I think that first year I did like a quarter of the stuff I planned on doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna do like 2 things in a day, and that's just, it's very Comic-Con-ish. So I like that word, Comic-Con-ish.
Comic-Con-ish.
Yeah. So those are coming to the expo. I have that to look forward to. But I think we should do like a full-on expo episode before we head there and let you know everything that's going on. So that'll be cool. But shall we move on to a little bit of sad news?
Yeah.
The Disneyland Band, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't heard, is being canned. I'm like shocked by this. I'm upset by this. I'm sad about this.
The whole band isn't being like completely gone. They're replacing people.
They're replacing, well, it's a new band though.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened is the Disneyland Band has literally been there since day one of the park. They actually weren't supposed to be a permanent fixture. They were going to be there for like the first 2 weeks, but Walt quickly discovered, as I think many people would agree, that whole 1920s Main Street, they're very fitting. Like it gives it this old school charm. And so they've remained there ever since. And then what happens is it's a 16-piece band in the morning, and then they kind of split up into smaller groups throughout the day and go to different lands and such. But they've decided to replace them with like I think they're saying hipper and more stylish band. So they're still going to be called the Disneyland Band. It sounds like they're trying to get some young blood in.
Gotcha.
And choreography is going to be involved now. The current players were invited to come audition and, for the new band. But I don't know. This just seems like blasphemy to me. I can't even imagine like somebody making this decision and other people being like, good idea. Like, I don't know. Where do you stand?
Well, I definitely, depending how they change it, I have to wait to see how they do it.
Agreed.
But, like, a hipper, like, Main Street is supposed to be that, like, 1900s era.
It's not hip, it's charming.
Yeah. So, like, depending how they change it, it might go either way. I have to be completely honest. I'm not I wasn't a big fan, or am a big fan of like the Disneyland Band. I'll see them going down Main Street. Cool. I don't think I've ever stopped to watch them.
Okay, I definitely have.
So I'm just one of those people like, oh, cool, it's atmosphere.
But it'd be like getting rid of the cars and the horse-drawn carriages on Main Street. To me, like it's what makes Main Street Main Street. They're a part of Main Street. Like you said, we'll have to wait and see what they do. But the general idea of it doesn't sound smart to me. And you're talking to a guy, or listening to a guy rather, who I understand like the diehards who don't want anything changed, but I'm not necessarily always that way. I would be perfectly cool with a Sleeping Beauty castle expansion because I want a bigger castle at Disneyland. And I know a lot of diehards are like, you can't do that, that's blasphemy. So I'm not like so diehard that I'm like, you can't change anything original. But the Disneyland Band for me is one of those things that just should not be changed. And I don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Moving on from Disneyland, there was some big, not news, but more information revealed over at Walt Disney World for Frozen Ever After.
Yeah, definitely. There's some new one concept art that came out.
Yeah.
And a little bit more about what's going to be happening in the new ride over in Norway. And it's happening.
Here's what I find so interesting about you folks out there listening and watching. Whenever we post a Frozen-related photo on our Instagram account, it is often the most liked photo of the week or whatever it happens to be. Yet, every comment about it is negative. It's people saying, I'm sick of Frozen. All these negative things, like get out of Epcot Frozen, yet it gets the most likes. So I'm very confused. And when I go on Twitter, it seems to be a lot of hate about the Frozen stuff. So I don't know what it is.
People like to dislike.
I guess, but like maybe people are hitting the likes thinking it's kind of like dislike. I don't know. I'm very confused by how it's the most popular yet the most hated. It's very interesting.
For me, like I was a huge fan of Maelstrom. It's gone. Like I'm sad that it's gone, but like nothing can change that. It's becoming Frozen, so I'm just going to embrace Frozen. While I did love Maelstrom, it does look like a great ride. I don't think it should be in Epcot. I think it would be a great ride in like New Fantasyland or something like that.
Yeah.
However, nothing's going to change that. For what it is, I'm sad, but it's going to be a good ride.
What a mature attitude.
Yeah,
good job.
But definitely some of the things they've explained in the concept art is like, this is going to be a ride that takes place after Frozen,
I believe.
Or like you're gonna go through some of the normal scenes of the movie.
You're gonna hear Let It Go.
Yeah, you're gonna go through some of the normal scenes of the movie, but I think it's gonna progress past Frozen into between Frozen Fever, because they've announced that the Snow Geese
are in there.
Actually going to be part of the ride as well.
Do you want to know what actually made me the happiest about the concept art?
What?
I like the fact that the Maelstrom boats are back, which when we first discussed this, we were like, okay, what are they going to just put it in Norway but gut the building? Because obviously it makes sense in Norway, but they're not gutting the building. I mean, it's probably the same ride track is my guess. We know it's like the same boats.
Well, I think they've definitely expanded the Maelstrom building, because it expanded backwards.
Okay.
However, it looks like the same ride system,
which I liked.
I doubt it's the same track, because it was
there's at least an expansion,
fairly short track. However, the only thing I'm concerned about is, even as like Maelstrom wasn't an e-ticket attraction. Some people could consider it. However, even though it was an e-ticket attraction, there were still sometimes a couple like capacity problems.
Okay.
So I'm really interested if they're keeping that same system, how they're going to manage the capacity for a ride that's Frozen related.
Maybe the boats just look the same and they're actually going to be wider or something. I don't know. But so it's going to be a water ride, which I'm excited about that stuff. Everything else is gutted. So it's basically the boats are returning, or similar boats. And, they're saying very advanced audio animatronics. High-tech animation in the faces, so it's going to be like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which comes as no surprise. And, I think I'm less upset about it than most people are. I'm not thrilled with it. I agree. I think the most upsetting thing is it is definitely a dangerous path for Epcot, like to think that this is what might happen to Epcot in every country. Dangerous. But, and by the way, for you folks out there who missed the Frozen of the Week segments, and I know there are some of you because we get emails about it, we have some Frozen of the Week stuff for you here, aside from the ride, unless there was anything else you wanted to say about Frozen Ever After. Terrible title, by the way. Terrible name for a ride.
It's interesting.
It's Tangled Ever After. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Frozen Ever After.
Yeah, how about...
I would call it Frozen for the first time in forever.
I would call it Fixer Upper.
Frozen, me too.
Frozen Fixer Upper.
But like I said, if anything, I'm super excited to see all the new technology and stuff. Yeah. I think it's going to be a beautiful ride.
Oh, yes. I concur. So, more Frozen news. Right next to that, they're building, I think it's a new building. They're going to call it the Royal Sommer House, which is going to be the meet and greet for Anna and Elsa. I believe they will, I guess this is probably too early to know, but they'll probably still be staying at the Magic Kingdom as well. And on top of that, Disney Cruise, this whole Norway thing we've talked about before, Disney Cruise is now going to Norway. Have you seen the photos of like Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff in their native land?
Yeah, chilling in Norway.
It's kind of a beautiful backdrop. Like, talk about a nice meet and greet photo opportunity. It's kind of nice.
And they show like some of the picture of the ship going through the fjords, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, for a huge Frozen fan, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's like actually walking into the movie. So it was kind of nice. So, and I'm not even like a giant Frozen fan, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
That'd be cool to do.
That's cool. Now I just want to go to space and meet like Darth Vader or something. For real life. Awesome. Bring us their Disney Vacation Club. A trip to the moon.
Endor.
Nice. Besides that, let's see. We've been talking about the Muppets getting their own TV show. You may have missed it already. It happened, but I do want to mention Muppets had like a mobile theater tour, which is kind of cool. It went to, I think, 5 or 6 stops around the country, and they were showing some ABC pilots in there, including the Muppets. If you were able to check that out, let us know. I'd love to hear what it was like, and that's cool. But they gave an official release date, September 22nd.
Cool.
Here's the thing that's interesting to me. The time slot on TV is 30 minutes, which is to be expected, which means about a 22-minute show with commercials. I saw the pilot.
It's like 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes, and it was beginning, middle, end story. It's not like it ended abruptly. So I guess maybe they'll have like two 10-minute episodes for the pilot, and then, then get into... My guess is they probably gave them enough money to make 10 minutes proof of concept.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. Have you seen the pilot?
I have.
Nice. Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So moving on to movie news, Beauty and the Beast, the live-action Beauty and the Beast. Some exciting news. Now, we've all know the story. It's going to be a musical. There's music coming from the original animated film. Sadness, none of the music from the Broadway musical, which is sad. There are some really magnificent songs, like If I Can't Love Her and Home, and it's a bummer. But Alan Menken and Tim Rice are back, and they're writing at least 2 more new songs.
New songs.
So the Beauty and the Beast library is getting quite large between the original film, the Broadway musical, the added song in the Broadway musical, and now at least 2 new songs for the live action. So it's kind of cool. There's going to need to be like a Beauty and the Beast concert with every song ever written for Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that'd be a long concert.
That'd be crazy. But that's pretty exciting. Menken and Rice have been working on this for a while. One of the songs is called Forevermore, which is for the Beast. It's kind of replacing If I Can't Love Her. And they're saying If I Can't Love Her is just kind of stopping the story from moving forward. So I appreciate that. I always appreciate it when they're like, look, this just doesn't work in this medium, and it's hurting the story. It's always the right thing to do. Yeah. Even though it's painful. So that's cool. But Forevermore is one of the songs. Kind of like Edgar Allan Poe-ish, isn't it?
Forevermore.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, they'll spin it. They'll spin it.
Like every haunt you've ever been to, you've probably been through a Forevermore haunt maze at one point.
More than I could count.
And then there's a song called Days in the Sun, which is kind of replacing Human Again.
Okay.
Which, do you remember when they added Human Again in the DVD release? That was terrible. I love it in the Broadway show, but when they added it for the DVD release, I hate it.
Not quite as...
Well, the animation looked so different.
Yeah.
And then I think Angela Lansbury's voice was not hers, or it was hers, but she had aged so much that it sounded so different. There were issues with it. I was not crazy about that. But in any case, so the Beast is getting a new song, and the Enchanted Objects are getting a new song.
And they're in full production right now. They're shooting away.
Yeah. I always feel a little bad, though, because whenever you see a photo of these musical announcements, it's always a picture of Alan Menken. Tim Rice is never there, and I get it. Like, Alan's been there since the beginning, so I get it, but I'm always like, oh, poor Tim Rice. But that's going on. More movie news. Zootopia.
Yes.
Had a teaser trailer.
It did.
What did you think of this?
It's interesting. Again, just teaser, so, like, nothing really about the plot of the movie other than character introductions, kind of like a basic introduction of the land and some of how the characters kind of work.
It was weird to me because it was a lot of explaining what the movie is. So these characters are, what do they call them? Anthropomorphic. Yeah. Anthropomorphic, which means they're animals that walk on 2 feet like humans do and wear clothes like humans do. And basically it's a non-human world that they live in. I find it weird that they felt the need to explain this. Yeah. Because, like, when we saw Robin Hood or any other of those, there was no explanation necessary. We just, like, accepted it. And so I'm curious as why they feel today's audience needs that explanation. It was very weird.
I felt the same thing. I was like, I think we all have seen talking animal movies before.
And even if we haven't, like, we've always just accepted our first one. Yeah. So, I don't know. It was very strange to me. I do appreciate, like, teasers that are created specifically to be a teaser. Like The Incredibles has that great teaser trailer of Mr. Incredible putting on a suit and stuff, which isn't in the film. I love that type of stuff.
Well, I remember when the Frozen teaser came out, and it was just like
was it?
Olaf on his like carrot fell out, and Olaf's just on the ice trying to get it, and then you see Sven at the other corner just like went in his mouth.
Yeah, it was kind of a short, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a little short, and everyone hated Olaf. Hated him.
I remember seeing In Summer, the musical number at the D23 Expo, and being like, that character's going to be annoying. But, you know, I like Olaf now. But, yeah, so I don't know. The Zootopia teaser trailer didn't sell it to me. But, I mean, of course I'll see it.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely probably see more at D23, so.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Let's see what else went on. A little bit of movie news you're telling me about. A sequel coming up.
Yeah. If you haven't heard, there's kind of like a rumor that Angelina Jolie may be putting her horns back on for Maleficent 2.
Okay.
Why we need a Maleficent 2?
Because America was waiting for it. No, the world.
The world
was waiting for Maleficent 2.
We just need her. My question is why. I mean, obviously it made a bunch of money, so this seems just like another cash grab.
Yeah.
We know we don't need it, but
this whole animation remake stuff is getting out of hand. This is crazy.
Especially when you're doing a sequel to these remakes.
Yeah.
Who like, just give me new stuff. Just give me new stuff.
That doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. I don't know if you heard, but the biggest movie opening of all time was a reboot / remake / sequel. Like,
yeah, like so a good amount of years later. Like, give me Maleficent 22 2.
Years. In 22 years, give me Maleficent 2.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked by this. I didn't dislike Maleficent at all. I enjoyed it. If you can go back and watch prior episode, we talk about it. I enjoyed it. I just don't feel...
Yeah, does it warrant a sequel?
I'd rather see a Broadway musical of it than a sequel, to be really honest. That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Starring Angelina Jolie as Maleficent.
And then they get the Phantasmic Dragon.
Oh, my God.
On stage.
Yes! And it breathes fire over the audience's head. Cash cow. Cash cow.
Done.
Spectacular Broadway. Okay, folks, so here's your warning. We're going to talk about some Inside Out. First, we're going to talk about the short before it, then some Inside Out. But then at the end of the episode, there is an Inside Out contest that you want to hear about. So if you want to skip the spoilers, go to the end to hear about the contest. If you don't care about spoilers, then watch through. But if you do skip it, make sure you come back later and finish watching.
Yeah, because we're going to discuss some fun things.
Yeah, so that's a fair enough warning. Let's start with the short before Inside Out called Lava. I love lava.
Really?
I love lava.
I thought it was all right.
I love it. It broke my heart. I'm going to give you the general story. So here you go. It's a volcano. It's entirely sung. And it's a volcano who's sad because he's a lonely volcano. And he's singing for his love to hear him. And what we as the audience see is his love is below the ocean. And
underwater volcano.
Underwater. So just as she begins to rise out of the water, he's being like lowered into the water through aging and such. And when she gets fully up, he's like barely above water. She's
the other way.
She's facing the other direction.
So the whole time, like she was underwater, she was hearing his song.
Oh.
And now she's above water singing.
And his song like gave her the energy and strength to bust through. Oh my God. Here's the really funny thing. I'm watching this thinking to myself, like, you know, they show the original volcano, then they show the one underwater. And I'm thinking to myself, this would be really funny if, like, she comes up out of the water and then, like, he goes below the water. Like, I'm thinking that in my head, and I'm like, but it's Pixar. Like, they're just going to both be above the water and fall in love, and that's what's going to happen. But I'm like, that would be hilarious if they did that. And then they did it, and it wasn't hilarious. It broke my heart. Like, killed, like, really... more emotional toward that than Inside Out.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like, oh my God, the volcano. There's a happy ending, so it's nice. But I thought it was so sweet and charming and photorealistic. It's so crazy. This CG stuff is getting so real that like it's kind of even in Inside Out. I'm like, okay, it looks like they're walking down the street in San Francisco. I'm like, why are we even like shooting movies anymore? Or like animated movies don't even look animated anymore. It's so weird. But
the only thing, the one thing that like, I guess took me kind of out of Lava was like, I feel like I've seen it before. I feel like lately Pixar shorts have been like the same. Like Blue Umbrella, it was the same story. Two objects so far in love but so close, and then at the end they get together. Cool. I mean, the same story, sweet. The one thing that took me out the most was, I don't know if it was a stylistic aspect, but I felt like they did like some voice modulation on the singing voices.
Okay.
And the voices, especially the male volcano, didn't match up like at all. I was
visually.
Just like, yeah, or just like,
yeah.
I was just like, if I could voice a volcano, that would not be the voice of a volcano.
I would agree. I was like, but it was kind of sweet because I think you hear the singing voice before you actually see the volcano singing. So at first it just sounds like a narrative singing. And so it doesn't seem weird. But then the lips of the volcano start moving and you're like, oh, it's the volcano's voice. And you're like, yeah, that doesn't sound like what
And
I
it sounded like there was an effect to it, like an auto-tune almost. And I was just like, maybe it's a guy's voice. I don't know. But I was like, why did they put an effect on that or something?
But it was ukulele, so like all Hawaiian and stuff. It was, I kind of love that song.
It was a like beautiful, stunning like picture and beautiful animation.
I really want that song. Do you think it's available for download?
Later?
I want that song. It was so pretty. It really broke my heart, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
I was like, that was cute. All right, Inside Out.
I really like it. Inside Out. Let's talk it. Go ahead.
I don't know if it was just like, I'm sure I've done it in past Pixar movies, but I kind of felt Inside Out was like one of the funniest Pixar movies I've seen. Granted, Finding Nemo is hilarious, but like, I laughed out loud multiple times through this movie.
It was definitely, it did not affect my emotions the way I expected it to.
No.
I was expecting, which is why I say I was genuinely sadder at Lava than I was at Inside Out, which shocked me. I was expecting one of those like Up type of movies where it's like, give me the tissues, I'm an emotional wreck. That wasn't the case for me. And I was surprised by that. I liked it a lot. It's a very good movie. It just didn't affect me the way I expected it to.
I was expecting the same thing. Like I've heard like, oh, this is Up, this is like close to Up.
Well, it's
like
Pete Docter who does some of my favorite Pixar stuff. So.
I wouldn't even classify it into the Up category of sadness, especially the first 10 minutes of Up. But there's no tears. I got sad at like one part, but then it was like, I feel like this movie would definitely get the parents more sad than like the kid.
Yes. Yeah, I will say at the end, I did get a little emotional toward the end when she comes home and there's that moment. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. But it was like, it was like, oh, as opposed to,
no.
Which, you know, I expected. I expected the ugly cry, folks. I expected the ugly cry.
But I think
did you have a favorite emotion? I definitely did.
Oh yeah, everyone. I think
wait a sec.
I think everyone's gonna have the same favorite emotion.
I don't know.
Really?
On three or after three. 1, 2, 3. Sadness. Okay, sadness is my favorite, and she's spectacular. I cannot think of the actress's name. I was
Phyllis from The Office.
From The Office, yeah. It's the actress from The Office who you would expect to voice sadness. Spectacular performance. Really good. Yeah. And I must say, all of the emotions, one of the nice things was, you know, they're all celebrities. It's Bill Hader and Amy Poehler and the angry guy. What's his name? Blanking.
Louis Black.
Louis Black. And who's the fifth that I'm... Oh,
Mindy Kaling.
Mindy, yeah. I didn't like... I could hear it was them, but it wasn't like them. It wasn't like distracting to me that it was them. And so that was nice, well performed. But yeah, sadness is so my favorite.
Yeah, and this is definitely a joy and sadness movie.
Totally.
It's definitely like a buddy movie. So like the other three are there, they cut back to them, but it's only like a little adventure with joy and sadness.
Yeah. Now some of the Easter eggs, or I don't know if they're Easter eggs necessarily, but I have to say, I got incredibly excited when I heard Grim Grinning Ghosts
Yes.
playing from the Haunted Mansion. Has a little cameo in the film, which was cool. I was like Grim Grinning Ghosts.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So that was fun. Any other things that stuck out to you?
No, Grim Grinning Ghost was the only one.
I loved, this isn't an Easter egg, but like, there's just some really funny, once again, if you're an adult, you'll get things that kids don't.
The curse word part?
What part was that?
That was towards the end, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say what, he's like, I saw a hairy man down the street that looked like a bear in San Francisco. I was like laughing so hard. I was like, oh, okay, I love it. The imaginary boyfriend I thought was hilarious. I thought the movie, more than anything, was smart. Yeah, that's what I loved about
smart.
It. So smart. Because it's like one of my favorite things in the story, and this is such a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it forward, but when the emotions are first made, they're the corresponding color with the emotion. So if it's joyful, it's yellow. If it's sad, it's blue, whatever. Toward the end of the film, as the girl gets older, these memories started having multiple emotions attached to them, which I thought was just so smart. I was like, that so happens when you become an adult. Like, you have these emotions that were such happy times for you, but, either a person is out of your life at that point, which brings melancholy or whatever. It was just so smart. I felt like it seems so simple, but I don't know if everybody would have thought of that, because I didn't think about going in. I just accepted, that's a happy memory. And I was like, no, that is a happy memory, and it's a sad memory. And I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was that part is another, like, it's kind of like a sad moment because of the fact, like, when each of the emotions are controlling the board of her mind, they're each controlling it. And the one part where, like, sadness and joy both control it at one time. And sadness grabs Joy's hand and, like, they just, like, it's a little cute. Touching.
There's some nice moments, and I just think it's such a smart movie, and I appreciate that more than anything about it, is the fact that it was smart.
There was towards the end when they expand a little and everyone gets back, they get an expanded control board, and the anger Louis back says, oh, look at all these curse words. He's like, hey, can I use this one? And he starts saying S-H-I-T, and Fear, like, leans on a beep. And I was like, whoa, Pixar! There
was some funny stuff. It's definitely set up for a sequel, in my opinion.
Really?
Like, one of the final things you see is there's a button on the board that says puberty.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, what's this about? Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no, that's a whole other movie right there. The girl going through all that stuff. Like, I see that as a sequel, but also the credits are fantastic.
Hilarious.
Because throughout the film, you go into, like, her dad's mind and her mom's mind, and I think that's it in the movie. But then during the credits, you start going into, like, a lot of smaller characters' minds, or even just some totally random things like a cat's mind, which is really funny. And, like, when I saw that, I was like, this is sequel opportunity and or shorts opportunity right here.
Shorts for sure.
It was pretty funny going into the minds of all these other characters and things. And I definitely think if they wanted to do a sequel, they could. Not saying they should, but I think they could.
And to me, I think just the movie is super relatable because we've all gone through these emotions at one point or another. I know when I was young, I was like, I'm going to run away. I'm going to run away. I'm going to do it. And then
I can totally picture you with a backpack, like, larger than you.
I'm running away.
Full, just, like, trekking down the street, knocking you over. That was you.
So besides the emotions, the normal 5 emotions, there's also another character that we learned early on called Bing Bong, who was Riley's imaginary character. We find her in, like, long-term memory. Him in long-term memory. And he's like this cat, elephant, cotton candy animal thing.
That was one of the moment. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so helps join Sadness on their journey to get back to headquarters. Along the way, things happen.
Should I just tell them?
You'll find out, or you already know what happens. I just don't want to speak of it again.
Okay, it's a really touching moment. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting
No,
it.
I actually expected for some like Wreck-It Ralph twist where he was like a villain or something.
Oh, okay. You always go there though. Like you feel like somebody's
But
always.
and the surprising thing is like there's no villain in this movie unless maybe I would count Joy sometime as a villain. But
Joy?
Yeah, she's a villain against herself.
Okay.
But yeah,
there's very deep, Patrick.
there's no like hardcore like villain in this movie,
which is kind of nice.
It's just life.
You know what
It's
I
just
was
life.
actually expecting though? I was expecting the parents to split up.
Oh.
I was very much expecting that because of like the whole they moved to San Fran, they moved from their whole town, and like one of the things that they really like show a lot is that the dad isn't around. He's constantly on his cell phone because he's starting a new business and he's not around. And the mom's like, "We're just going to be strong for your father," but it seemed to be destroying the family. And I really thought the parents were going to split up and we were going to see her go through that. That's really where I thought it was going. So I had a nice.
And it was like, it's like a scary moment when like there's these like. Each of her memories create this land that builds up her personality. And
Which I love.
Yeah, and then they start crumbling. It's like,
well,
what is happening to this girl?
but that was well, I mean, she went into depression. Is what it was. It was a commentary on like depression, not just like I'm sad, but like the actual, medical
of just like feeling nothing.
And it was. That's what it was. And it was really sad to watch. But I thought another smart thing was once she hit a certain age that I can't remember what they called it, but like the goofiness land or whatever it was. There was, one of the lands was where she just acted like goofy and like a fool and like you do when you're a kid. And then she hit an age and that land just was dissipated. And it's like, God, isn't it so true? Like, I think as Disney fans, if you're listening and watching to this, we're the people who are fighting for that not to go away in our lives. But the reality is, no matter how much we fight, a certain amount of it goes away. And in most people, it goes away completely. And it's just so smart.
Yeah.
We're all fighting to keep that.
And I don't know if you stayed through the credits, but
yeah, I did.
All the way at the end of the credits, there's a little quote that says, "This film's dedicated to the kids, never grow up."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, little Disney thing.
Yeah, it's smart. It is a smart movie.
Keep childhood land in your brain.
Seriously. And having said that, unless there's anything else you wanted to say about it, okay,
definitely check it out.
We have an Inside Out contest.
Yeah, we do.
And look what I got here.
Some pins.
Buttons. Please. In the Disney world, we know that there's a difference between buttons and pins. These are every emotion. We've got sadness. You can't really see this too well because they're small buttons. Sadness and anger. And disgust. Boop. And fear. And of course, joy. So these are the 5 emotion buttons we got, and they could be yours. How could they be yours? Well, if you comment below on YouTube, let us know who your favorite emotion is. We both said sadness, but I'm sure there are people out there, even if you haven't seen it yet, based on design or what you've seen in the trailers and such, let us know who your favorite is, and you'll be entered to win. There's also a second way to win. Go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, just click on the contest page, and you can find out there how to enter twice and possibly win this. So awesome. I hope somebody who really wants them wins because they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're cute buttons. And before we go, I do want to mention something very cool that's going on. One of our listeners/viewers wrote a book called The E-Ticket Life.
Awesome.
And it's all about his journey going, basically like his life and what Disney has meant to him. And he has written a piece. The book is published later in the summer. He'll be at the D23 Expo selling them. And he has written a piece that will be on our website at DisneyCoastToCoast.com for the week. So from Wednesday when this episode's released to the following Wednesday, you can go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on E-Ticket Life, and you can read this original piece. And he actually called it, what did he call it? He met his wife at Walt Disney World while he was living in California. So the coast to coast thing, that's why he did it. And he calls it Long Diz Tense, D-I-Z tense, in honor of Disney Coast to Coast. So you can check that out at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. The eticketlife.com is the site for the book. And yeah, he's actually each day of the week this week, he's going to a different blog or Disney website and revealing different pieces of it. So if you go to laughingplace.com, you can find out where to see all those pieces. So it's
super
pretty cool.
fun.
And,
like Disney bringing people together.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, and we're excited for him. And now it's
Trivia time!
Do you want to hit me with a question?
Sure.
Let's hear it.
So, as usual in Pixar movies, there's references to other Pixar movies all the time.
Yes.
So, actually, in Inside Out, in the background of I'm blanking on her name, Riley's mind.
Okay.
There's emotions, and in these emotion balls, there's scenes that play.
Okay.
And there's actually, in these balls, scenes from other Pixar movies that
Did you notice any of them?
No.
Me either.
But do you have any idea?
Does it make sense, or is it just kind of random?
Do you have any idea what
movies?
what movies would be playing in the back of Riley's mind?
I'm gonna guess Up.
It is Up.
That's the only one?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
There's
You know what? I just pretended that's her grandfather. That's what I did.
There you go. But yeah, in the back of Riley's mind, in the background, there's scenes from the first 10 minutes of Up where there's happy and sad and everything going on. Especially one of the main ones that can be seen, I think, is Carl and Ellie's wedding.
Oh, well, we got to go back and see it again.
So a little fun little Easter egg to look out for.
Or wait for the Blu-ray.
Some little Up scenes in Riley's memory.
That's
Maybe she
cool.
watched the movie and that's in her memory.
Or it's her grandparents.
There you go.
I think it's her grandparents.
Could be.
Who knows? Anywho, I just went West Side Story there for a second. Anyway, we were talking about the Disneyland Band earlier.
Yes.
If you had to guess, how many, they've been there since day one, their last day will be, which, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but what a kick in the pants that this band's last day is July 16th, 2015, the day before the 60th anniversary.
They gotta debut the new one on the 60th.
Ugh, what an insult. But I digress. If you had to guess how many miles approximately they've walked and/or how many performances they've approximately given since 1955,
no.
just take a guess. It's mind-blowing.
Miles?
How many miles do you think they've walked in their, what's it been, almost 60 years?
I'm gonna say like 200,000.
No. 20,000.
20,000.
20,000 miles. And how many performances do you think they've given?
20,000 miles. They've given 10,000.
100,000. 100,000 performances, 20,000 miles, approximately guesstimated. That's a lot of performance work there. And you know what? If any of you have ever been a member of the Disneyland Band, I will just say thank you. Do you say thank you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You made 60 years of magic.
Seriously. And we will watch the new band, and
I'll still probably walk by it, but
no, we're gonna stop and watch and so that we can give solid opinions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him, folks. I'm gonna hold him down and make him watch. And wouldn't it be funny if it really changes nothing and
they just have new costumes?
They have new costumes, yeah. And it's younger people. Like, that's honestly what I think it is. I think they want younger performers. But anywho, enough about the Disneyland Band. We're going long this week, but that's okay, because Inside Out's coming out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the movie when you go to see it. And that's going to do it for us this week. So till next time, of course, check us out at the DisneyCoastToCoast.com for everything. All of our social media. We're out of time. We can't even say it all. There's so much.
So much.
DisneyCoastToCoast.com. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Okay, now something worth talking about. The Good Dinosaur comes out on Thanksgiving. The teaser trailer has come out. Now, I think if you're listening to this, you probably know that this movie's kind of had issues.
Yeah.
And
it's been like handed off to people back and forth, and
the reality is that this happens all the time.
Yeah.